It's the Rangers Journal Night.
Good evening all, and welcome to post-match reaction for Rangers 6, Ross County 0, CD9 and Rabbit Redemption arc helped the rampant Rangers to deliver a 6-goal thrashing over the Staggies today, and we're just here to get a wee bit of, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Positive reaction tonight instead of all doom and gloom. I think the narrative is finally beginning to swing round. First of all, I'm joined by Dave and Gary. Dave, how you doing, mate?
I am good. As you say, it's nice to have something positive to talk about for a change.
Aye, I know. Gary, how are you, mate?
Yep, same. It was a good 90 minutes, a full complete performance for a change. So it'd be good to chat through the 6 goals over the next little spell.
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Dave, we needed that today, didn't we?
We did, aye, 100%. Like I was saying before we came on, I think we've had a couple of wee things off the pitch this week. You know, talk of players moving on, potentially getting back in Ibrox. So I think this was just the icing on the cake, mate.
Definitely. Gary, what's your thoughts on it?
I think I said last night in the pod, maybe last night, time goes by that quick, that they've had some half-hour performances probably in each of the games, but never put it together and missed a few chances in each of them. This was the first time I probably felt that they'd kept it going for the majority of the game and got the just rewards. I mean, lots of good football, lots of movement, lots of chances, and a thoroughly deserved 6-0 win, which if I had statistics here, I'd like to know when last time we beat a team 6-0. It must have been a while ago to remember the last one.
I know. It's about time we get a performance like that, isn't it, Dave?
Aye, it is, mate. It is. I think, as Gary alluded to, it's that complete performance, isn't it? You know, we've shown it in spells. We've seen wee passages that look good, but we've never really kind of strung it together through an entire game. And I think quite often you see, especially recently when he brings on his subs, you see a noticeable change in the tempo. I don't think we necessarily saw that today. As Gary said, they kept going, and well deserved, to be honest.
Aye, definitely. We'll just quickly go through the team. So it was Butland, Tavernier, if you can say Tavernier was at right back. I think it was more in the middle of the park. Tavernier, Suter, Balogun, Hefty, Barron, Sterling, and Tom Lawrence with Rabbi Matondo on the left and Journey on the right with CD9 up front. Dave, what was your initial reaction to the team lineup?
No huge surprises. I think, folk might have been a bit surprised Deal was on the bench. To be honest, I felt like he needed a rest. I called that out on the pods that we did through the week. I said I thought he needed a rest. So other than that, I think it's pretty much what we expected, to be honest, mate.
Aye, definitely. Gary, what about you?
Yeah, it was much similar. I mean, I think I said last night, in fact, I should apologise then. I said last night that Sterling and Barron shouldn't play together against Ross County because we don't need that. However, I will caveat that and say that Sterling didn't play two deep sixes. They were totally different in terms of the tactics. So I was surprised they both played. I thought Diamande would have played instead of at least one of them. But as I say, when you actually talk about the game a wee bit longer, I don't think it was two just defensive midfielders. There was different ways they were playing that probably made it a bit more attacking.
Aye, definitely. Probably the thing I was relieved most about, this will sound terrible, but Scott Wright wasn't in the lineup. he's not really set ahead of like this season. Dave, just quickly, is he one of the ones you think that wasn't in the squad and could be released on Friday?
I hope so. There's rumours floating about Hearts are interested. So, there's that potential exit. I think the difference with Wright as opposed to Matondo is you've seen flashes of Matondo, and it's more a consistency thing. I think with Wright, maybe you have seen flashes, but they're very, very rare. So for me, I mean, let's face it, we've all been there. We've all said, oh, God, there's Scott Wright in the starting lineup. So, I don't think any of us would be disappointed if he did move on. My only concern would be obviously the association trained side of it.
Yeah, definitely. We need another Scottish player into Filligart. I don't know if John Fleck's still training or not, but I hope that one doesn't happen. Gary, where are you sitting at on Scott Wright now?
this is going to sound bad, but in some ways he's inconsequential to me. I think if he stays, fine. He's not. He's on a relatively low wage. He'll fill a quota. He'll play 10, 15 times off the bench when needs, but he's not going to start many games. I think even listening to Clement's press conferences, there's going to be a few more additions in, so he'll be part of a squad for another year. Then he'll leave. I don't have a major issue if we get a couple $100,000 otherwise. So be it. I'm not going to be particularly passionate either way about it.
Aye, I know, mate. I know. How did you think the defence was today, Dave?
I thought they were mostly solid. Caught out maybe a couple of times just about, but County couldn't capitalise. I think there was one where Barron had dropped in to defend and the County boy got in front of him, got his header on target. So I think other than that, and a long distance strike that Butland had to save, I'm struggling to think of any kind of real worries that I had through that game.
Yeah.
Now, I guess you need to caveat that with who the opposition was, but it's not the same.
Aye, that's true. Gary, how do you think Hefty played today?
I thought it was good. I thought it was less dynamic probably than last week against St Johnstone. Probably didn't get the same level of space. I think the team probably focused slightly more down the right at certain times than they did in that game against St Johnstone. I thought he was good though. He's really good at getting the ball, cutting inside, driving forward there. He does look to link up well with Matondo. He's unlucky with a shot just by the post. It probably wasn't quite as exhilarating and as exciting as last week, but I think in terms of what he'd done, a good solid 7 out of 10 performance, I thought.
Aye, I need to agree. Dave, his relationship with Matondo down the left, that's the second game. I thought he took him a good game.
Aye, they seem to be developing and understanding pretty quickly. And I think one of the things I've noticed with Yefte is he's actually pretty good at that regardless of who's in front of him. I think he's looked good with Cortez when he's played with him briefly. I think he's looked good with Fraser. He does seem to have that knack of kind of working the other player's strength.
Aye, definitely. I completely agree. I stuck in the chat at full time. That's probably the best our left side has looked in years, Gary. Matondo is just probably his best game in the Rangers jersey today. Is that fair to say?
Do you know, he gets a lot of grief from me and from everybody, from Matondo, because he doesn't put it together, I don't think. Well, I'd be surprised if anybody doubts he's got attributes. He is probably the fastest player in the club. Certainly he's not supposed to be one of the fastest players in the UK, in terms of when he gets going, they've talked about. So he's got the speed. He's actually relatively good on the ball today, cutting inside, moving about. He had 2 assists. It's his most complete performance in terms of where he's going. I think he's at times he's just been a bit too wayward. Now, whether that's because he's only played a couple of games and get injured, or whether that's because he's never really liked consistency. He's really impressed today. Really impressed last week, although it didn't always come off from him, but even better today. And based on Clement's press conference, it doesn't look like he's maybe going away as well for this team. So that's maybe a good thing.
Aye, I thought the 2 flanks today were fairly positive. We're going to Tavernier now. I don't think him and Sterling were rotating quite a lot, and I'm wondering if that's something we're going to be looking at next Sunday for the overhyped threat of Dies in Maeda. I was trying to choose my words wisely here. I think if we can do that next Sunday, it's going to limit the kind of the threat that he poses, or does or doesn't pose. It really is, don't you? Opinion. What did you make of Tav's positioning on the park today, Dave?
I thought it was really interesting. It seemed to keep Ross County very on their toes. They didn't really seem to know whether to stick or twist. And I think one of the things that has been called out about Tav a lot this season, notwithstanding that he's not had any pre-season or anything else, but a lot of his game previously was built around his trying to get my words out, his athleticism, his ability to motor up and down that flank. We're all kind of seeing now that as he's getting a bit older, he's maybe not quite as good at that. But then by swapping him and Sterling about, you're almost kind of compensating for it. So it's for me, it's very much Clement recognising it and playing to the strengths of the individual players. I thought even when he was in midfield, he actually did quite well. And interestingly, I saw a lot of directing people. Again, that's kind of criticism. He doesn't shout at people. He doesn't demand more, but he was certainly directing his team today as a captain.
I definitely. I need to agree with that. Gary, I know you're a big fan of Tav. What did you make of having Sterling sort of rotating the day?
Yeah, I think I'd said early on in the game and stuck in the chat at one point, it was quite fascinating, very, very early. And you started to see that as soon as Rangers attacked Sterling, actually, there was times you might not have seen the TV, but he physically ran. They both ran past each other. One would run to the right. Sterling ran right back, and Tav was running in the middle of the park. And presumably that's because Tav's probably technically better. So, but he might be critical about his athleticism, as Dave says, but technically on the ball, he's a good player. And he links up well with Czerny. I think I really like the way when I watch him and Czerny play together. I think there's something there. They've got a kind of cleverness, one-touch stuff, move it about. They can move into space. I think that's going to be really beneficial down that side. If you look at the left-hand side, obviously it's all speed, whereas the right-hand side to me is more technical and more movement and more interchanging and all that sort of stuff that goes with it. So he certainly looked a hell of a lot better than he had done. He looked more dynamic. He looked a bit more athleticism, but also being in the middle of the park, he has the ability to passable, and drive forward. And it worked well. And certainly Sterling works better when he's doing the dirty work, either defending in that middle of the park or moving out to the right-hand side to kind of cover space. So it probably works well for both sides.
I need to agree with that. Gary, see while I've got you here, can you see shade? Remember when Fernando Eriksson get moved to right back into Midley Park under Big Ek? Can you maybe see shades of that in Tav? Do you think there's a slight comparison there?
I think in terms of the way they play, because if you remember, Fernando was always good at that kind of driving forward with the ball, really good shot from the edge of the box. Tav's probably slightly technically better, although Fernando was a more tigerish tackler. But the principle's right in it. I think when you've got that ability to move in the middle of the park, take the ball, pass it comfortably, is something that's going to really be useful. And what it done, I don't know, you kind of always see it on the TV, but Barn dropped quite deep, so effectively left kind of three defenders and then pushed everybody else up and really pushed Ross County further and further back.
I know, mate, I know. I just find it interesting. I've been shouting about Tav getting into Midley Park for years. I don't think he's as good a tackler as what Rickson was. I think Rickson was maybe the better defender. But in terms of playmaking and things like that, I think Tav's basically got the lot, to be honest with you. I think he's maybe not got that engine to get up and down the park anymore, but in terms of picking up good positions and dictating the play and good passing and arriving late in the box, I think that could potentially be an answer to the Tav problem. So, Centenary Park, Dave, Diamande and Barron, what did you make of them?
I'm not actually sure you could say Barron was playing in the centre of the park for a lot of it. So going just picking back up on what Gary was saying there, one of the things that was really noticeable on the TV actually was at a lot of points it was almost like we were playing with back three. Barron kind of came right back in the middle of the two centre halves and then pushed the two fullbacks further up. But no, I thought, again, as a pair, they were good. We've seen it previous games as well. Obviously, Deal was meant to get a rest today. He didn't. I thought he looked probably better, Diamande. He looked better than maybe what we've seen in the early games. Looked a little bit more creative for me when he came on than what he's been able to do in the past few.
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely. Diamande was obviously... It's hard to actually put a finger on a Midley Park because there was so much movement and rotation, and it's not something that we're used to speaking about this season. I think it's fair to say, in terms of how we looked going forward as a team. Gary, what was your take on the midfield?
I thought, as I say, Barron obviously dropped deep, but he was everywhere. He was outstanding. I said weeks ago that I thought putting a lot of pressure on him, but the more I watch him, the more he covers the park, and the more it does. I don't expect him to hit 50-yard passes, but to be around and winning the ball. So he was really good. Diamande, Diamande's got so much ability, hasn't he? So much. You see him, the way his body moves away, he kind of pivots and moves away from people. I still think we're looking for him to actually put it together and assist or score. But it certainly looked as though he was, I suppose, getting in the right positions in that slightly kind of number 10 type. I don't even know what they call these things half the time. The number 10 roles, number 8s. He was kind of pushing up and getting in towards the edge of the box. He's a quality player. He just needs to continue to grow this season.
Aye, I know, mate. I know. Connor Barnes been probably the best signing in summer, and I think Hefty's just behind him, to be honest with you. I think Hefty's really come into a game since he's come into the team. Really, really iffy in pre-season, but since normal business has resumed, he's been good. Vaclav Cherny, Dave, on the right-hand side. What did you make of Cherny?
He's just class, isn't he?
I know.
It's just absolute class, mate. There's spells where you don't see much of him, and then just out of nowhere he'll pop up. He had that defence split and pass again. Seems to be something he quite likes. It didn't come off this time, obviously. Dessers couldn't get onto it, but you've seen that. His ability to pick a position, his balls into the box. Class player. I think a bit like Sima last season. The biggest issue might be not falling in love with him and wanting to keep him, because obviously we've got no option on him.
Aye. I think I like the way he drifts in field, and like you said, the way he can pick a pass is probably his best quality, to be honest. I know he's got a bit of a one-day left peg. We've seen he's got a good shot at home to Motherwell, but I just see him and I think, like, how did he see that in that Parker?
Yeah.
He's spotting things that weren't getting spotted last season and we're attacking play. And he's just utter class, isn't he, Gary?
Do you know what? I watched him. I was telling my daughter at one point, and says, I don't actually know whether he's got speed yet. I don't know whether he's got pace. I can't actually tell because he's the way he moves and glides with the ball and cuts inside and he's touch and control. You don't know whether he's quick or whether he's just quick in the mind or whether he's just slightly more technical. He's good to watch. There's something about him when you watch him. He's got that level, and maybe that's with 35 caps or whatever it is for Czech Republic does. He's a quality footballer. I think he's got that. I suppose Grace, you said that left foot ball. Who was it through to? Was it Matondo for the header? He was just offside. It was a brilliant pick out, and a few other times. Just his movement really, really good. He looks a player. He certainly looks like he's a first choice right-sided player. We don't really need him, and we've got McCausland on his back. I don't think we need anything. If we look at the position, we don't need a player in. Maybe that's definitely one of them.
Right wing. Aye.
I think we're comfortable there now, but I'd be comfortable with Cherny playing there and McCausland backing him up.
Here's one. I'll stay with you, Gary. Do you think Cortez is going to get his jersey back if Matondo keeps us up?
So that's a tough one because we're basing what we know in Cortez on 3 games against the first couple of games when he first came in, isn't it? And he looked really good and he scored a good goal against Hearts, if I remember rightly. And then he's been injured, so we don't really know a lot about him. He's certainly a different style of player than Matondo, isn't he? He's probably slightly more skillful but less quick. Yeah. Still has the cut inside and so forth, but I don't think we've took an obligation to buy in Cortez unless we didn't think he was going to be first choice. I suppose that's my answer on that one.
I just wondered if we could maybe put him over on the right. I know we've only seen him on the left, but just with his direct running, and if there's an injury, could he maybe fall in?
So go back to you then, Scott. Right. So we've got Cherny, McCausland, Matondo, Cortez in because he's back in training. So we've got 4 wingers. One of the things people talk about a lot is how we need another winger. So if we get another winger, how do we manage to play them all?
I know. I think somebody that can come in and play across the front 3 in terms of playing the 10 as well. Like, for example, a Morgan Whittaker. Now, I know I'm completely dreaming on that one now. That ship's well and truly sailed, but he can play anywhere across the front 3. He can play in the 10, can play in the right, can play in the left. Sima as well would have been ideal because we know he can play anywhere. He can play up front too. I just think a player like that would maybe complete everything in an attacking sense, if that makes.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think that gives you the depth, and that guy's Brekalo, I think his name is. The one. He looks like that type of player that can play right across the front, maybe slightly behind the striker, but that seems to be the type of player we're looking at, doesn't it, to kind of complete that jigsaw up front?
Aye, definitely. Right. The elephant in the room now, Cyril Dessers. Now, I'm not going to apologise, right, because when I've given him criticism, it's been wholly justified. But, Dave, I put a tweet out earlier on today saying, if a big man keeps this up, he's going to keep my gob shot. And it said like 150-odd likes, I think, so far. So I think it's well known that I've not been Dessers' biggest fan. But if he keeps this up, I mean, nobody can really say anything, can they? That's the clinical number 9 we need.
Nah, I mean, the short answer is no, mate. It's, we all sat here last season. We all gurned that he missed loads of chances. I think that's carried over this season. But if we're being honest and we just base it on what he's done this season, I'm not sure what else he can do. Is it 6 and an assist or 7 and an assist so far already in competitive games?
I think it's 5 and 2 assists.
Is it? Okay.
I said 3 before a day and then he scored 2, so it's 5 and 2 assists. So 7 goal contributions is
in
brilliant.
Very few games, if we're being honest. And, okay, you have preconceived opinions, and I'm sure we're all guilty of it. But the fact is, right now, that guy is the striker we need. That might change in the future. Who knows? But right now, all we can judge it on. And, yeah, he's doing the job.
Doug Gibb is one of the ones that laughed at you when you says this.
Me too.
But I think Clement's just a word with him in the training ground and says, let's see for his goal.
Yeah.
Touch way right, shot way left. Bum goal. No messing about. It was just nice and easy. It was simple. And he's got some shot on him. I don't know where this has developed for, but fair play to him. Gary, sorry, Dave, what you said?
I was just going to say, I seen the interview from Clement after the game, and he actually spoke about this for both Dessers and Matondo. And basically, half the problem, I think we've all said it, is it's almost like they got there and they were thinking too much, had too much time to dwell on it. And Clement was speaking about how he's basically been working with them in training just to try and make them decisive. Just, you're there, just do it. Don't stop and think. And I think we're starting to see the benefit of that now.
Definitely. Gary, where are you at on CD9?
So, Dave, I remember a few weeks ago I had a passionate defensive Cyril and saying how good he was. People like to give him a little bit of a leeway. And do you know what? I'll not cover too much because I think his goal scoring is speaking for itself. Do you know what I really liked? His hold-up play, his strength, physicality when he was actually getting shoved around. And he should have another assist when he played a beautiful ball into Lawrence that Lawrence runs by the post. His all-round game, I think, and his all-round game this season has been actually as good as his goals. People like to suggest that he can't hold up, he can't do this, he can't do that. But overall, in pretty much every game, he's performed. And he is finishing. He's not missing. I don't think he's missing lots of chances. I'm not remembering lots of chances. As you say, Scott, he's taking a touch. He's finding the net, and I think if he does continue down that path, he will score 20 to 30 goals in the season, which is what you want from a Rangers number 9.
Exactly. He's doing it all as it is. Yeah. But the thing that's put me off him, I've said this countless times, was that Ronald de Boer got it spot on. When he's bad, he's bad. When he's good. And when we seen him against, was it Ajax in pre-season, when anytime he took a touch, it was like a baby elephant can try to control a fitba. And I was like, no, we can't get through a season with this again. But yeah, he's another one that's turned up after pre-season and performed. I mean, we all looked at pre-season, and I think the kind of the shadow of the last season was still kind of hanging over everybody under Michael Beale, because we knew we all made allowances last season. Not a good pre-season. We don't know what we're doing, but wait till real stuff starts. But now that the real stuff has started and we're a few matches in, say we're looking pretty good. I want to touch upon a number 10 position before we finish up, lads. Tom Lawrence today, I thought he gave probably his best game of the season as well. It was much more mobile. It's almost as if he opened his legs and he managed to open up the muscle in his legs and actually run about and tackle. And I think he was at the second half, Ross County won the counter-attack and Tom Lawrence get back and won a tackle from behind. Things like that need to be a standard for Tom Lawrence going forward. Now, Dave, what did you make him today?
I actually thought he was good today, if I'm being totally honest. So again, probably like most of us, I've sat here most of the season and knocked the guy. But based purely on today, I thought he was all right. He was linking up well. As you say, he was getting about. So again, not much else we can ask. I would, in true John Bennett fashion, just caveat that with I'd still have massive doubts about him being the only 10 for an entire season. But certainly today, in isolation, he was good.
Gary, where you at on Tom Lawrence and the number 10 position?
So one number 10's not enough. I think if you look at Clement's press conference, he kind of made it pretty clear that Campbell, Hadji, and probably Lowry as well. He says guys that aren't in the squad are the ones that are going, so they're expecting to go. So that leaves Lawrence, and Lawrence can't do it all. Do you know, he's not going to be able to play all the games. Again, I said last night in the pod, in games against Ross County, speed isn't the issue. Lawrence's technical ability will make him stand out. Games against Celtic or European away games or games where maybe there's a pressing involved, that's where he might struggle. Do you know, I think if he's a good footballer, and we know he's a good footballer, if you play him in the right games at the right times, he'll contribute. And I think we will need somebody else. And maybe what that somebody else is, it's Diamande in the number 10 position in the games. You need more pressing, need more fitness, need more legs. It's just, but certainly he scored one. Should have scored another one, and for that tackle, Scotty, I'm at the game and I'm thinking it looked like a foul to me. I have to be honest. That when I went back, definitely took it from behind.
Mate, I was just impressed he was able to get back there in the first place, if I'm being honest with you. Because we've not seen it of him, we've not seen that appetite so far. And that's kind of what we need to see, especially for Clement's team. Dave, in terms of number 10, what you want to see? You want to see somebody coming in as a specialist, or you want to move Diamande up? What's your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, my personal take would be bring a specialist in, keep Diamande as maybe, I don't want to say a versatile kind of player like Sterling, because obviously he's not many are that versatile, but you know, there's nothing, even if we bring in a 10, there's nothing that stops us playing Dio there sometimes. And then playing him slightly deeper other times, but I would like to see a specialist come in rather than kind of seeing how Dio goes, because we have only seen really one game when playing there.
Right, well, last question before we wrap up, boys. Gary, who's your man of match?
I'm going to give it Matondo. 2 goals and 2 assists. I think that's fair. I think that Dessers played really well. I thought Barron played really well, but Matondo for that contribution alone, I think he deserves it.
100%. I think Rangers TV robbed him of my man of match award today. Not because it's not any slight on Dessers before anybody in the comments jumps on me. It's purely because Robbie was just a different gravy today. He was different quality, and they deserved it. Dave, what about you, man of match?
So I'm going to upset you then. I would say Dessers personally, and that sticks in my throat a wee bit. He got his goals. There was an awful lot of kind of the non-sexy stuff, if you will, that he was doing as well. He was constantly about the pitch, pressing, linking play quite well. So for me, yeah, Dessers.
No, I'm going to go Robbie Matondo. I thought it was outstanding today. Connor Barron had a solid match as well. I'm really looking forward to watching him next week to see how he really performs. A high kind of caliber match, so high pressured match. Sorry. So, but anyway, Dave, thanks for coming on, mate.
No, thanks for having me, mate. As I say, good to have something positive to talk about.
Definitely. Gary, thanks again, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Not at all. Now the build-up begins to the Old Firm game and transfer deadline in it. Good week ahead.
Definitely. I think Dessers is, well, it's pretty split between the comments in terms of who got it. Even Doug's gave it to Matondo.
Do you know something, though? It's nice to actually be sitting here having a debate between various players instead of just thinking who was slightly less worse.
Mate, see if you'd have said to me in pre-season, we'd be arguing over like who get money match Matondo. I'd have been like that. I don't think we'll be having that conversation anytime soon, but that was a funny game. Right, so as everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday night with suppose match analysis and kind of touching upon the transfer market, just a kind of general show on Monday night, but mostly we'll be touching upon the game and where we are for the season, things like that. Next Friday, we're going to be doing a deadline day pod. We'll be starting off at 6:30 with the preview pod for the Old Firm game. And then for 7:30 onwards, we'll just be talking about transfers, who's coming in, who's not. I'll be sitting here on Twitter trying to find stuff to talk about.
Refresh.
Yes, exactly. Follow as well, probably, no doubt, saying somebody says this. So I should be a real laugh. So But we'll be Monday to Friday next week, folks. Turn on your notifications so that you know when the pod is. Times are changing a wee bit. I'm just trying to see who can do when in the team. But apart from that, guys, thanks for tuning in. And remember, every night is Rangers Journal night. Cheers.